What's going on, hustlers? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Dave Cam-Tave. I have won over 150 contracts doing business with DLA, and I've worked with over 200 companies, helping them generate upwards of $10 million in revenue. Today, we are going to be talking about how to request credit from your vendors. This is going to be a super short video. It's going to be a super quick video. As you can probably tell by how fast I'm talking, I am extremely caffeinated and I am in a bit of a rush because I need to get ready to go to dinner for the first night of Namyat's first ever in-person mastermind event. But I don't want to give you guys any more fluff. Let's get straight into the video. So let's talk about getting credit from vendors. This is probably the most common question that I get asked. Somebody was like, oh my God, what am I going to do if I win this contract? Or I win, let's say I hit the metrics and I win so much. I have 85 contracts that I win out of 100, right? How do I get the funding for it? Totally valid question. And honestly, if you work with me and you submit 100 bids and then you win 85 contracts, I think that I did a really good job and I would be very happy with that. I would probably just fund the contracts myself because you're obviously just on fire and you're going balls to the wall. But the way that I like to think of getting credit with a vendor is you got to start from top to bottom. Now, you probably hear the word vendor and you're like, what the hell does that mean? So when you're doing business with the government, the people that you buy products from fall into three categories. So at the bottom, right, we have our distributors and then we have our manufacturers. So manufacturers make stuff, distributors sell stuff for the manufacturers, right? And then at the top is you have vendors. Vendors is the umbrella that distributors and manufacturers fall underneath, right? So a vendor is just a broad term for anybody that you buy something from, right? So how do we start from this top-down approach to get credit from our vendors? Well, if you think back to any of my previous videos where I've talked about negotiation or you've attended any of like my in-person speaking events at any conferences, I have talked about how to negotiate with the government. And at the end of the day, the main goals, economics 101 or business management 101, whenever you go into business is to generate revenue, right? So we want to make as much money as possible. This is very basic stuff, but what I'm really trying to hint at or transition to here is we also want to make as much profit as possible. And that starts with when we negotiate, we start with the most egregious offer possible. So if you say a number and you don't feel like a little bit like anxious before the number comes out of your mouth when you're negotiating, you didn't go high enough or you didn't go low enough. And the reason I say you want to start there is because obviously everybody knows that you and your counterpart are going to whittle each other down, right? So it's the same thing when you're applying for credit. So there's different kinds of applying for vendor credit. So the first one, the most beneficial to us as government contractors, is paying once the government pays us, right? Payment on invoicing of the award. That's number one. And then the next best thing would be net 30. Now, what does net 30 mean? It just means that your vendor is giving you 30 days to pay them back. So that's the second tier. However, there's a couple subsets of net 30. So imagine net 30 is my whole hand and then I'm sticking out fingers to talk about the different subsets of net 30. So the subsets are going to be your net 20 and then your net 10. And then you also have your 2% 10 and then your 2% 20, 1% 10, 1% 20. So what do these random numbers mean? So net 20 would mean that your vendor's giving you 20 days, right? But what does 2% 20 mean? So you can actually tell the government that you want to operate or conduct a transaction with them like this on the electronic quote submission form. 2% net 20 means that you will give the government a 2% discount if they pay you within 20 days. Your vendor can also offer the same thing to you, right? So they might give you net 30 and then they might also have the option to do 2% 20. They're going to give you a 2% discount if you pay them within 20 days, right? So it's the same thing for 1% net 10 and so on and so forth. Those are the subsets of net 30. So let's come back to my other hand here. So we've got cash on payment of award. So once the government pays you is when you pay your vendor. Then you have your net 30 and then all of its subsets. And then you have a very nice, fun way of doing things. This is going to be very beneficial, this third one, if you have a very high lead time. So lead time is just the time horizon. Gosh, I hate using one word to explain another word. I don't want to say time when I'm talking about lead time, but it is the difference from when you place your order with your vendor to when the vendor actually ships the product to you and you receive it, right? Lead time is this gap of the time-space continuum, horizon, interstellar, Matthew McConaughey, everything that transpires in here, Murph, don't let me do it. I am absolutely espressoed out. Cash on delivery is ideal if you have a very long lead time. So sometimes if you're dealing with a vendor that happens to be a manufacturer and it's going to take them 26 weeks, that's 6 months, that's half a year for the people who are not good at math like myself, you don't want to tie up your cash for 6 months, right? For something that you are going to have to pay your vendor right now, but DLA is not going to pay you for, let's say, 7-8 months, right? So you can negotiate for cash on delivery, right? That means that you only have to pay your vendor once they ship it to you at the end of the lead time or once that lead time is complete, right? And then the next variation of applying for credit is your basic half up front and then half on the back end. Now, again, there's subsets of this. This stuff is all very nuanced. It's very simple, but it's very nuanced, if that makes sense. So you can do half up front, half on the back end, or you can do a down payment, 10%, 20%, 30%, etc. Right? So those are the different variations of getting credit with your vendor. Now, you're probably watching this and you're like, okay, that's awesome, but how the hell do I respond if my vendor says I cannot get credit? Well, humans are rational creatures, but we're also emotional creatures, and you have to play on both sides of the spectrum whenever you want to get anything done, especially in business, right? So my response to those of you who are like, how do I get credit? Well, number one is you should join the 200 companies that I have worked with and helped make over $10 million for. So that way we can work with each other and conduct business with each other and then put ourselves down as credit references. And you can win your first contract in 45 days or less, guaranteed, if you outline the metrics that I provide for you and your company. And you can check out the over 35 testimonial videos on my YouTube channel of people that has been the case with. But that was a very shameless plug there. Whatever. I have no regrets. You're still watching, so that means you love me. But you can also reach out to your vendor as you're having this conversation with them, and then you need to ask them, hey, what are the criteria that I have to meet? How many orders do I have to place to get the kind of credit that I want, or to play on your terms and get the initial credit that you're willing to give me, right? How many transactions do I have to conduct? Sometimes it's how much revenue do I have to generate for you? How much money do I have to spend with you, right? Or sometimes it's how many units do I have to order with you? Now, the last one is going to be very specific to manufacturers because they oftentimes have an MOQ. MOQ stands for minimum order quantity. And whenever you're manufacturing something, oftentimes there's a lot of overhead that's associated with that. So you have fixed costs that are associated with manufacturing things, such as the labor, such as the utilities and the rent in the facility, the cost of operating the machine, right? Those are all fixed costs that whether you make 1 unit or you make 100 units, you all have to incur those costs, right? So oftentimes they come up with a minimum number of units that you have to purchase to offset those costs. So that might be an instance where if somebody has an MOQ, I would approach them and be like, yo, how many units do I have to order with you for me to get credit on your terms? So thank you guys so much for watching until the end. I did not want this to be a super long video. If you guys are interested in winning DLA contracts up to 7 times faster, check out my new software, Contracts AI. Roll the clip. Still looking for products to provide and contracts to bid on manually? There's a more efficient way. With AI-powered market research based on criteria your firm gives the model, Contracts AI instantly shows solicitations you can win and products you can sell. Save time and win DLA awards 7 times faster. Compare solicitations in seconds. Get packaging and technical requirements broken down for every RFQ. Know how to price your bid with curated algorithms to calculate your markup for you. Gone are the days of FBDS and Gives' archaic user interface. This is world-class market research. It's modern, it's disruptive, it's built for contractors ready to win fast. Contracts AI. Sign up for free. Click the link down below if you want to speak with me or my team, but if not, keep enjoying my free stuff. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm grateful for you. Not only am I looking forward to your success, but I'm absolutely sure of it. Let's go print those dollars. Whoop.